It's been a long time, hasn't it, Sadie? Since yesterday, I was overseas on vacation. I'm sure you'd like a souvenir from me, right?
I can do without one.
Are you sure? I just thought that since you have no money and couldn't go overseas with me, you'd want something that I brought back at least. That way you two can feel like you went overseas with me for a bit.
Thank you for thinking about me. But I'm totally fine without you worrying about me.
You really can't act a little friendly around me, can you? And now that I think about it, are you still going out with that man you had?
I am?
I should have known. Well, you're getting pretty old now, so you should be trying to marry him before it's too late.
Well, I am waiting on that still.
Is he still thinking of becoming a designer? By this time in his life, if he hasn't been able to get where he wants to be, he should just give up, right? And you've been working a lot to try and support the both of you, right? He's pretty much a parasite now. You're better off leaving him, Sadie. You're not getting any younger.
He's doing his best to achieve his dream, and we believe that the both of us can succeed with his dream. So my job for right now is to just keep supporting him.
But if he ends up succeeding, he'll probably just throw you away for a more pretty and young girl. And then you'll be in even deeper waters because you have to start back to square one looking for someone to marry you. Isn't it that you can't carry a child either?
How does that have anything to do with this?
I bet you it does have something to do with everything.
Well, he doesn't really care to have any kids in the future. So that's another reason that he's happy to have found someone like me.
Well, I bet he'll have a change of mind eventually. What's the point of having a malfunctioning wife when there are so many other better women out there?
He's with me because he loves me. But I'm sure that someone that only thinks about herself would never understand that.
You finally broke. You're back to taking cracks at me now, aren't you? In my case, I was waiting around for a real man to find me and make me his wife. But at the age you're at, there aren't going to be any other chances for marriage. I feel bad for you.
What do you mean by a real man? Like a good-looking face or something?
Him having good looks is always going to be number one. But that wouldn't be enough for me to have married him.
Then you were also thinking about his income? After all, your husband is the son of a CEO, right?
Right? He is expected to be the next in line for taking over his dad's company. The family that my husband is from is filled with elites, and they are so well known that even some of their friends are known as celebrities. And now that I'm with him, I've become friends with celebrities myself. That's why you have to make sure the man you choose has a lot of worth.
Seems he's a one-in-a-million kind of guy.
And of course, things are going just as planned. All I have to do now is have a son that grows into a success himself, and my life will be perfect.
Don't you have a daughter right now, too?
Well, Isabel's not that great of a kid. She always seems to end up in the middle when it comes to her grades, like B's and C's, and her face isn't all that cute either. I'd say she turned out to be a bit of a failure.
She should be more than perfect to you, though. And to me, I think Isabel is very cute. Although it has been 5 years now since I last saw her.
She's going to be normal like all the other kids, and I don't like that. When it comes to my son, he's turning out to be far superior to her. Not only is he excellent with his studies, but he's also amazing at sports and can play the violin really well. And when talking about his face, you can tell he'll become a stud.
How old are they?
My son is 10 years old now, and my daughter is going on 16, I think.
You don't even remember how old your daughter is?
Well, I don't really care much about her.
Aren't you being a bit rude? I feel really bad for Isabel.
Well, when it comes to my husband and his family, they all pay attention to my son. I guess he's going to inherit the company one day, and so everyone wants to make sure he's perfect.
But these days you shouldn't be looking at your children like that. Especially thinking that just because he's a boy, he deserves more of your attention.
But when it comes to succeeding in the business world, men always finish first, right? When I ended up having a girl as my first child, everyone around me was upset.
I see. That must have been tough on you as well then.
When I finally ended up with a son as well, I knew he'd turn into a success. I'm so glad I tried again with my husband, because now I'm very much happy to be in this family.
That's great for you.
I ended up with an elite family, so I'm thinking about you. Really? Why did you have to end up the way you are? I bet both Mom and Dad are looking down right now from heaven and are both very sad.
I'm sure that the both of us live in completely different worlds from each other, so there's no need in saying things like that.
Well, if you start to struggle with money, I hope you don't plan on coming to me for help. Because I haven't even talked with my husband or his parents about you much. You've already done enough to make you an embarrassment for me.
All right. It was my fault for not turning into the older sister you'd hoped I'd be. I'll make sure not to cause you any more harm, Kenzie.
Hey, Sadie. Do you want one of my kids? I'll give you my daughter. You're not even able to give birth, so this is perfect for you, right?
Huh? What are you talking about?
I'm saying that I will give you my kid. And it'll be my daughter that you get. Because I'm keeping my son.
What do you mean by giving her to me? They aren't just some items of yours to give away like that. They're both your children, right?
I know that, but I've come to realize that I don't need my daughter anymore. Actually, that's what was brought up to me, but still.
Who brought that up to you?
Both my husband and his parents.
What?
They told me that women are useless, so we don't need her. And it's not like my daughter is good at anything anyway. And she doesn't do anything around the house either. We see her just living with us as a waste of money, so we want her out of here.
Why are you acting like all of that is okay to do? I mean, what the hell do you guys think of children that makes you act that way?
Really, I'd like just to kick her out of the house right now. But she's still going to school, right? If something were to happen to her out on the streets, we'd be the ones getting questioned. But we can't wait another 2 years for her to graduate, so we want you to have her.
Even if you say something like that with such urgency, I've never taken care of a child before.
You'll be just fine. She's already enough now, where she can do most things on her own. She's able to keep her own schedule and do her own chores and cooking. She's even at the age where she started working on her own part-time job.
Are you the one making her do that? Because normally, it'd be you that makes her dinner and cares for her still.
We don't even let her come to the dinner table to eat with us. And we told her that she needs to do all her laundry and cleaning by herself. She doesn't mean anything to us, so what's the point of us helping her out?
And what about your son?
I'm taking care of all his needs. He's our only priority after all.
What is wrong with you? Your job as their parents is to take care of them so that they can focus on school. And even after graduation, you should still be there as their parents. Yet you're treating Isabel like she's an outsider. That is messed up.
I don't want to hear from someone who doesn't even have kids on her own to raise my children.
But what you're doing right now is not okay.
Well, if you want to complain about it so much, then you can take Isabel and raise her. I'm more than happy letting you experience what it's like to be a mother. I don't want to keep thinking that you understand what it's like to having to take care of someone like her.
But don't you see that what you're saying about your own daughter is horrible? I already knew that you had been a very selfish person before, but now I'm starting to think that you're just completely nuts.
Huh? I don't want to hear any more from someone whose whole life has been full with failures. Either way, I'm going to be throwing her anyway, so why don't you just take her away from me?
And you think by doing that everything will go back to being perfect for you? No, let's just stop this already. I can't even begin to understand how you can think like that.
Why are you acting like I'm the idiot here? Unlike me, you have nothing to show for, and no connections to the rich whatsoever.
Alright, I'll take Isabel off your hands. I don't want her to experience any more of the horrors you keep subjecting her to.
And you won't have any second thoughts, right?
No. I wasn't planning on having a kid of my own, but now I think I have no other choice.
I had always thought about just giving her away to you from the start, but now I can see that you both will fit perfectly together as dysfunctional women.
But I have one thing to ask, and that's that you will never talk to Isabel ever again. I already know that she's experienced more than enough trauma from you all.
You didn't even have to ask. I was already planning on never caring about her again. I have to start focusing on caring for my son even more. And I don't have the time to be wasting it on some lost cause like her. Just make sure you don't come crying back to me about how much of a defective child she is.
Don't you dare compare me to the likes of you.
By the way, is your boyfriend going to be okay with all of this? You didn't even talk with him, and yet you've already made your choice.
I feel bad for having to do this to him, but I've already decided to take Isabel from you. And if he has something to say about that, then I'll deal with him at that point.
You sure are selfish too.
Of course, right now I am, but I'm sure he'll be able to forgive me for this. I think that he trusts my judgment enough as it is. And when I bring up the situation you've put Isabel into, he'll agree that I've made the right choice.
Long time no see, Sadie. I heard everything about that girl.
What do you want from me?
I heard that Isabel was able to find herself a full-time job, and so I was just wanting to congratulate her on that.
We don't need you to congratulate her on anything. For the longest time now, you've left me alone, so why have you really come back?
Is it that she was able to get into a large company?
That's right. Isabel really worked her butt off to get where she is. She even made sure that when she was in university, that she studied abroad for a bit and also did lots of intern programs. Every single day, she was busy working to perfect herself. When she went abroad to study in Europe, she left me at home feeling a bit lonely, but came back with all kinds of experiences. And in the end, she was able to use all of that to get herself into a huge company. She's amazing.
Is that so? She really has become a wonder, huh? Well, I'd like to take her back now then.
What?
If you send her back home, I'll forgive her for everything. So please send her back over to our house right now.
What are you saying, Kinsey? Did you not hear me before? She's found her own job now within a large company.
I've heard you already. She entered a very large company that's based all over the world, and that's why I said what I said. She did turn out to be my husband and my kid, so I'd like her back now so that I can start living with her again.
Are you okay in the head? Right now, she's living with her mother at home.
Uh-huh, but I'm her real mom, right?
You have no right to be calling yourself her mother after all you did. And besides, she considers me her mom, and you nothing more than a bad dream. She doesn't want anything to do with you anymore, and I agree with her.
But I was the one that carried her to childbirth.
And so what, Kenzie? You're also the one that threw her away. And then I took her in and raised her, so I have the right to being her real mother. I'm legally her mother as well.
What do the laws have to do with this? Her and I have the same blood running through us.
I think you're getting things a little confused.
all you've done is raise her for 7 years, and you think that makes you a real mom? I'm not the only one that gave birth to her, but I also raised her for 16 years after that.
But it seems you never did any of it with love. And so, to make up for that loveless life she had growing up with you all, I had to make sure she knew how much she was loved within my house. I may have had to take her when she was already in her mid-teens, but she calls me her mother now. No matter what you say, Isabel and I are mother and daughter.
What makes a defective woman that can't even make a kid of her own think that she can talk to me that way? You don't even have the money to compete with someone as elite as me. Just because I left her there with you for a little while does not give you any right to think that you're better than me.
Well, even if it's by a little bit, Isabel still thinks of me as more of a mother to her than you. I never once let her feel left out. And never did I compare her to anyone as a way of making her feel bad about herself.
You're going to take a few cracks at me again, huh? I already know that you're still single. I'm even surprised that you were able to get Isabel into a college when you're a single woman with no money.
I've been married.
To that parasite of a man? No way.
He's not a parasite. It's because of him that Isabel and I were able to have this wonderful life.
Did he find a job?
He succeeded. He finally became the designer he'd always dreamed of being. And right now, he's making hundreds of thousands with his work.
Hundreds of thousands?
The reason I chose to stay with him is because I believed he could achieve his dream. But I never thought he'd make it as far as he's come.
There's no way something like that could happen. You're not going to fool me, Sadie.
I'm not trying to fool you, though. Right now, he's being asked to do work for all kinds of brands and is super busy with his work. He's actually so busy right now that I rarely get any chances to see him.
I want to see evidence of this then.
If you just search his name up, you'll be able to see all the evidence you need.
What the hell? You weren't kidding.
I may not have as much money as you guys do, but I can tell you right now that the one thing you kept making fun of is no longer gonna fly.
But a defective wife is still defective, right?
But I was able to raise the girl that you threw away into such an amazing woman. That should make up for not being able to have a baby of my own, right? And I've been wanting to ask this. Why do you think me not being able to have a baby makes me a defective woman? I think that's just you acting like a little brat because you couldn't find anything else wrong with me to make fun of.
You're not able to pass your genes, making you a defective woman. That's what both my husband and his parents have said about you.
And so, in other words, you're saying that you can only regurgitate what other people think because you're too brainless to have opinions of your own? Huh. I guess things haven't changed with you over the past 7 years. You did tell me before that him and his parents said women are useless, right? That's your reason for leaving Isabel behind, right?
I'm the wife in the house, so I had no other choice. I can't say no to anything they ask of me.
Oh, stop trying to blame this on both him and his parents and start thinking about all of this with your own head. But maybe you really don't have a brain, and that's why you're willing to do as anyone tells you. Right. Life must be much more relaxing when you don't have to think about anything. It can be relaxing, but you begin to turn into a drone that does as they like.
I just made sure to do my best to make a perfect family. I was able to do way better than you to have a better life more rewarding than yours.
Right. I can agree with you on that. But all that happiness you have relies on the people above you, right? Do you really think you can live life knowing that your happiness is only based on what your husband thinks of you?
Come on, Sadie. I'm just trying to live a life where I'm told that I've done well for everyone.
So then why are you asking for Isabel back when they all told you to kick her out before? There has to be something else to all of this, right?
What are you talking about?
Your father-in-law ended up passing away all of a sudden, right? Your husband was able to take his seat as the CEO, but do the changing in the company's policies things didn't go as planned, right?
What are you on about, Sadie?
I have some friends that know a lot about your husband's company. The fact that the company is on the verge of collapsing and that your son has been doing some not-so-great things there.
Don't say things like that about my husband. And that's my amazing son you're talking about.
Well, I've heard that there's been some problems with your son. He caused some stuff in school and had to drop out, right? Seems that you raising him has ended in failure, right?
I haven't failed him yet. Right now my son is just going through a rebellious phase is all.
Maybe it's because you and your husband catered to his every need so much that he thinks no matter what he does, he can get away with it because you both will forgive him. But I can't blame that on him because it's the fault of those that raised him.
But he should be able to change his attitude here soon. If we only had more money to support him.
And that's the reason you want Isabel back? Well, I'm sorry, but Isabel is working in an office overseas. She made sure to go somewhere that's out of your reach.
Overseas?
I'm not going to tell you what country she's gone off to. So don't even bother trying to use Isabel for your own sakes.
Then, can you at least help us? You have money now, right?
I'm sorry, but I'm also going to be out of this country. My husband has been getting more jobs from Europe recently, so we thought it'd be a lot easier to just live over there. So I will no longer have to see you again.
Wait, Sadie. Please don't throw me away right now. We're sisters, right?
Well, in your case, you have that elite family of yours, right? So have them help you with all the money they should have. I'm sure they'll be able to understand what you're all going through right now. And if they don't, they might treat you like the useless woman you are. From that day on, I didn't hear anything else from my sister. I was able to see what looked to be her husband's company going completely bankrupt. And since they won't be able to rely on their son for anything, I'd assumed that the company would be sold off and reformed by someone else. On another note, I've moved to Europe with my husband, and we're both living our best lives. We may be living in a different country than our daughter, but where she's at isn't all that far from us. And compared to being in the US, we're like neighbors. And because of that, we've been able to see her again when she makes her way over to visit. And now she has a man of her own, and will bring him over to see us. I'm looking forward to the day she tells us the big news.